Testing, testing. Noelle, can you hear us on there?
Hello, hello. This is Cheyenne with Kidventure.
All right, I think we appear to be good, Cheyenne. So I'm going to go ahead and mute, and I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Awesome.
All right, I want to welcome everyone here today. Um, my name is Mike McDonald. I'm the president of Kidventure Camps, and it's super awesome to have you with us today. This is the next in our series of webinars, live streams um, that that um, talks about the Explorer program. We've done Discovers thus far. We've talked about a few other things, but today we're really going to focus on our Explorers program, which is the largest program at Kidventure Camps, by the way, and that being our kids that are entering first grade in the fall through age 12. This is our day camp program. So today we're really going to focus on really just that. But I would never want to do this all by myself. I would want to bring a real expert in here today. and that would happen to be Cheyenne. Cheyenne, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Excited to be here.
Good to see you. I love the shirt, by the way. I know, sporting the Explorer shirt, looking good. Thank you very much for that. How are you doing, by the way? Everything going
Doing
well?
great.
Piper doing
Absolutely. Yeah,
great?
everything's going great. Piper's great. If you guys have joined us before, you know that I have a 14-month-old and she is an honorary camper herself. So she's doing great. Um, everything's going well. Yeah,
Super glad to hear that. Well, you know what I'm going to do, because I'm going to start out with the video that you helped us produce on Explorer. So I'm going to
absolutely.
turn my attention to that. We'll jump back in together and we'll get going, okay? But I think this is a great video because it really sets the tone for what the Explorers are all about. And plus, you do such an amazing job. You got so much energy. I love it. So I'm going to turn my attention to this video, and here we go, you guys.
At Kidventure, we believe camp should be a place where children experience new horizons, build lasting friendships, and cultivate a strong sense of self-confidence. That's the heart of our program. Created for our campers entering 1st grade through 5th grade, the Explorer program is designed for maximum engagement, fun, and personal growth. Campers are grouped by age to ensure a tailored and meaningful experience for all. Each day is filled with diverse, exciting activities that inspire creativity, foster learning, and encourage collaboration in a supportive and dynamic environment.
So are you just like a professional? Is
I
this
don't know.
what you
I guess
did in
it's my theater kid in me.
your life before Kidventure? Maybe you should have been in the movies then, correct?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Who
You did a great
knows?
job, by the way. Thank you for that. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Uh, sure. Let's turn our attention to the agenda, what we're going to be talking about today. So we did see a video. I have another video that I do want to show here in just a second because I think it really lays the foundation, gosh, for our philosophy and what we're all about, because it's really not, Kidventure is not really about just what we do in the moment. Yes, in the moment is a lot of fun. It's an adventure. It's tons of fun. But it's really what our kids take away from camp that it's the most powerful part of Kidventure, right? We intentionally build camp to produce what we call outcomes. Those outcomes are things like a greater sense of self-esteem and self-worth, the opportunity to, make friends, right? And discover some grit and some perseverance and all those kind of things. And so we'll dive more into that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about the basics, right? The basics of the Explorer program. Once again, that philosophy and the goal. And then we're going to break it down. What's a camp day look like, right? And I know you know what this is because you are the director of curriculum, and so you put all this together, and it's wonderful having that kind of expertise here with us today. So we're going to dive into the curriculum. We're going to dive into specifically what our kids are doing. Then we're going to jump over to what's new for 25 because I'm super excited about all the new stuff that's taken place this summer, Passport to Adventure, the Passport book, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to give it all away. We'll talk about a little bit about coming to camp, what that looks like when you come to camp. And then we'll turn our attention to what I think is probably the most important part of a parent's camper's camp experience. And that's the team, right? You can have the best curriculum in the world in the shiniest facilities. If you have lackluster camp counselors who don't really care, you don't have a camp program. But man, if you have the kind of people that Kidventure has, like teachers who have their summers off, college education majors, they want to make their career centered around kids. That's who our staff is, right? Coaches, college students, education departments, teachers who have their summers off, obviously. They want to be there because they can let their hair down, they can teach, they can mentor in an environment, that's just, gosh, full of energy and excitement, right? And we don't have to star test. Right? There's that too, right? And then we have a Q&A. So what I'm urging you to do, parents, is as you are listening and you have a question that comes up, go ahead and throw it in the comments section, right? And then at the end, we'll pull all those questions onto the screen, and then we'll address those questions, okay? If you are watching on Facebook, great. You can also be watching this on our website at kidventure.com/webinars. We are also on LinkedIn and YouTube, our YouTube channel. which is the handle Kidventure Camp. So lots of places you can view this, and it's also recorded. So if you're, and this, I always feel weird saying this because if you're not here, we're going to record it. Well, if you're not here, you're not listening anyway. But if you have friends or family that wants to watch this episode of Explorers, it's going to be recorded. We keep those on our YouTube channel. It'll be on Facebook, but a really great place to go is on our web page at kidventure.com/webinars, because we keep not only this one, but we keep everything that we've done thus far, and you can see what's upcoming, like the big one that everybody tunes into in May, preparing for Camp 1. So, all right. You ready for this, Cheyenne?
I'm ready. Let's get started.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show one more video. It's a little dated. It's last year's video, but it's a great segue into that sort of philosophy and goals part of what Kidventure does. So I'm going to turn my attention to that, okay?
Since 1994, Kidventure has been helping shape the lives of kids through the power of camp.
And provide each kid a safe, caring environment where they can grow happy and strong. Respect. Friendship. Kindness.
One of our most important goals is to teach a child that nothing in life is impossible. Courage. Confidence. Leadership.
The real power of camp isn't what takes place at camp. It's what kids take away from camp that matters. Honesty. Gratitude. Grit. And imagination. This is what we teach at Kidventure.
We invite you to be part of Kidventure's 30th year of summer camp.
Spaces are limited, so register today.
I will just say for the record, it's our 31st year this year, by the way. So, I love that video for two reasons. One, because parents get a good visual. For those parents who've not been to Kidventure, maybe this is their first summer to join the Kidventure family, that gives them a great visual, both for the overnight camp and the day camp setting, what that kind of looks like and feels like. And then secondly, we're obviously emphasizing our values there that we're trying to instill in our kids and mentor. So anyway, so there's that. All right. So at Kidventure, we have goals. We just don't show up with a bag of balls, and get going. We're really very intentional about what we do. And at Kidventure, the number one thing for us in terms of a goal is safety. We want to create an atmosphere, an environment that's going to be safe for our kids. And I'm not just talking about a physical environment. I'm talking about an environment, a culture where kids feel accepted, where they feel confident, where they can sort of spread their wings, right, and be the best version of themselves. That's really what camp should be all about, right? Second, our goal is to be purposeful and intentional. Talk to us a little bit about that. What does it mean when we design our curriculum and our activities to be purposeful and intentional, Cheyenne?
Absolutely. So everything that we do has a purpose, and what we want to instill in these campers that get to join our program and that we have the privilege to serve is just a strong sense of self-confidence, self-esteem. So when we're developing our curriculum, we're really thinking about the camper in mind. So our activities are very engaging, they're very age appropriate, but everything is rooted back into the character that we're trying to build with our campers, so that they don't just do these activities and they walk away from them with a product. They walk away from these activities with confidence. They walk away with these activities feeling challenged and encouraged. So everything that we do has that intentionality behind what we're doing and what we're delivering to kids at camp.
Yeah, and that, of course, leads into the outcomes, which we talked about, right? If we're intentional and we're purposeful about how we create our curriculum around our campers with our staff, then the outcomes at the end of the day, when that kid gets in the car or goes home or finishes the summer, should be things like, look, I feel more confident. I feel more independent. And as parents, because we're both parents, right, we want to provide our kids. One of the biggest challenges for us and any parent is, gosh, you worry, is my kid going to grow up to be confident? Is my kid going to grow up to be independent? You know, am I going to provide the opportunities for my kid to be kind and empathetic and know how to foster relationships? The answer to the question is yes, but you have to make the right decisions in order to set your kid on that path in order to achieve those outcomes. And I don't think there is, and I'm biased, right? But I don't think there is a more powerful platform with which to do that than camp, because camp's not like school and it's not like home. It's a place that, for the most part, every kid wants to really be there. A camp counselor is not a teacher. It's not a parent. It's kind of an enigma, right? It's like an adult that kind of is a kid, right? And because there's this gray area, we have this unique opportunity to help that kid grow, right? And they come without preconceived notions like teachers and those kind of things like that. Number 4 is we want to teach and model character. That begins with us. If I want to teach my kids the importance of honesty, I better be honest in my own actions, right? And integrity, right? When no one's watching. If I want my kids to grow up to be honest, and if I want my kids to grow up to be brave, then I have to set an example for my kids that I'm brave in the moments that I need to be brave, right? Mm-hmm. And then lastly, and certainly not least, camp should be fun and active, right? You are not going to find us watching movies. We are not going to be sitting behind screens. That is not what our camp is all about. For 31 years, I don't think we've sat behind screens or done any of that kind of stuff. You know, it's just kids. I think, in our opinion, you know, screens serve a purpose when that purpose is needed. But in our opinion, you know, I think kids spend too much time behind screens, and that helps dictate the outcomes that maybe aren't so positive in their lives. And we want to give our kids the chance to get out from behind the screens and make some real world connections and foster relationships and those kind of things. And so, anyway, those are our goals and our philosophy. All right, so I want to turn our attention to the basics. So what is an explorer? They affectionately like to call each other the red shirts, right? And the discovers, you know, the 3s, 4s, and 5s, they're like, oh, you know, they call themselves the blue shirts, and they call the big kids the red shirts, right? Because they all wear a different color shirt. It is a full-day program, essentially 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We have a post-camp that's 3 to 6 o'clock that's optional. A lot of kids take part in that post-camp, okay? The Explorers are for kids entering 1st grade through 5th grade. So if they're in kindergarten right now, they will be an Explorer in the summertime, okay? If they're going into kindergarten next year, they will be a Discover, all right? Our ratios are low at 1 to 12, never more than that. We operate in small groups by age. Okay, so we don't just have one massive camp that's all moving around together, right? On Monday morning after opening ceremonies, and I know, Cheyenne, you're going to probably talk about this when we get to curriculum, they're divided up into their counselor group. And really, that's the heart and the soul of camp, is a counselor group, right? That kids identify with their counselor, and it's their counselor for the entire week, right? And they have their secret handshakes, and, you know, they do all their stuff that make their group sort of unique, right? But it is age appropriate, right? We put them in those groups by age. Why? Because we scale our activities. What a 5th grader is doing is different than what a 1st grader is doing, right? And a 12-year-old should not be playing dodgeball with a 6-year-old, right? In other words, too, as well. Same counselor of the week, and we do combine where appropriate. So if we have a guest speaker come in, when we go on field trips, when we have lunch, yeah, they'll combine. And you can put your child, you can request to have your child put in the same group. We call it a buddy request. As long as that child is relatively the same age, we will work to get that kid in the same counselor group during the week. Okay. Any more to add to that in terms of
I think I think that's pretty all encompassing, and we'll break a little bit of this down as we go into the actual camp specifics. But
Yeah.
I think something really great to take away from this is that we tailor our programs to meet the needs of our campers. So, like
Yeah.
you mentioned, our 6-year-olds and our 12-year-olds are going to play activities very differently. So, just ensuring that we can always be mindful and cognizant of that so that every camper has the best quality camp experience.
Right. Yeah, good point. Thank you very much for that. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
speaking of that, we'll segue that into the camp day then, okay? Why don't you run us through, before we go through like the specific activities, let's look at camp from like 30,000 feet, okay? And give our parents sort of an idea of what it means from that 8 to 3 or 3 to 6 time.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to drop off your camper in the morning, and we love compassionate drop off. So we will come and meet you at the car, and we will handle all of the nitty gritty of the backpacks and the water bottles and the things so that your camper can come into camp independently. Once your camper is in camp, we're going to provide them with opportunities to do activities prior to our opening ceremony. And that opening ceremony is a kickoff of the day. You can kind of think of it like a pep rally. So we really just go over the fun that's going to be had that day. We really set the tone by establishing the atmosphere in the room full of energy. But we're also going to set your campers up for success by letting them know what to expect of the day. We're going to go over what we call our KV rules. It's the 3 R's, right? Respecting themselves, respecting others, and respecting the facilities that we're using, their surroundings, before we go into our programming. And our programming is our curriculum. So it's the activities that we make so that kiddos can come into camp knowing that they're going to have fun in those activities. And in that curriculum, we try to create activities that both allow for creative expression, physical activities that allow for that sensory input, right? Getting to run around in the gym and just be a kid. But we're also going to reflect on some things too. How can we be ourselves? How can we love ourselves? How can we be a great friend to our peer? All back to that character building that we were talking about earlier. And kiddos are going to have the opportunity for lunch and snacks throughout the day. And then our midday rally that you see there is an opportunity for us to reset in the middle of the day. It's another opportunity for us to set the atmosphere, create the vibe, if you will, of what we're going to do for the rest of the day. But it's also an opportunity for us to just check in with our kiddos and see how they're doing, see how they're feeling. We're really big on relationship building with our campers to campers, but also with our campers to staff. So within those ceremonies and within those small group opportunities, it allows us to do that. So we have just the full scope of how to serve your camper at camp. And then we're going to continue those activities, those rotations in the afternoon as well. Those traditionally for an explorer are going to look about 45 minutes before we end that day with the closing ceremony. And that is just going to give them one final super exciting and engaging activity prior to them jumping in your car for the day, so that they can start and end the day on the absolute best foot possible before we meet you guys at your car as we did in the morning. You will pull up, we'll open the door, we'll greet you and say how great of a day that your camper had, and then we will lovingly say goodbye and we'll see them the next day. And if you stay with us for post-camp, that is an extended option or an option for you, and it is an extended version of camp. So they have their own activities, their own unique schedule that they follow so that the camp day doesn't end until 6.
There you go. Very good. And I will say, and we're going to touch on this in a little bit, that this year is called Passport to Adventure. If you've been to the website, you've been on the webpage, you've seen this fictitious, Kidventure land. Okay? So every week is a destination. And every week is unique and different. And the kids are actually going to we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but I always get ahead of myself in these agendas, right? Because I think it's because I'm too excited or something like that. But anyway, kids.
There's a lot to be excited about.
I know. Your kids are going to get a passport book. It looks it doesn't look just like. It's very similar to your passport if you have a passport, right? There's a place on the inside for them to put their name, draw a picture of themselves. There's a place to stamp each week, and each week the kids are going to stamp it. But it's also an opportunity for kids to write notes to each other in there, for them to put their favorite thing that they did at camp that week or whatever it might be. And it's a great memento, and it's just another tool for them to stay conscious about their camp experience as well. And so we're really excited about that. All right, so now that we have an idea of what the camp day, generally speaking, looks like, I'm going to turn it over to you because you are the queen of curriculum. And I have several slides in here, so I'll just sort of play off of you, okay? But if you want to what I did on this first one is that to sort of sum up a lot of the things that we do in the curriculum, and then we'll break out to smaller pictures so people can actually understand what those mean. But I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we at Kidventure write our curriculum based off of the character that we're focusing on that week, but also keeping in mind the interests of the kiddos. So when we talk sports and games, that's going to be your physical activity, your dodgeball, your kickball. But here at Kidventure, we create really fun and exciting activities that can allow kids to be physical, but that are kind of niche and custom to us. That art and science piece, a huge thing that kids love to do these days is to just get messy and to have the opportunity to create something. And in our curriculum, we have created lots of opportunity for that, for kids to do activities that express themselves so that they can customize it to their interests, but then also giving them challenges, right, through that science and that STEM piece, giving them a goal, but allowing them to adapt that goal to exceed it and to modify it so that they can demonstrate their own skills. Field trips are super exciting for us. It's something that our explorers and later we'll learn more about leads, but those two programs get to go off property to a unique field trip weekly. And they get to experience something outside of their campsites. And for a lot of our kids, this is maybe their first field trip that they've been on, or maybe their first opportunity to go to that field trip. But it gets our kiddos into the community. And we think that the field trip component to our Explorer program really does give them such a broader sense of camp. Archery tag is something that you'll see at camp. It's a really exciting thing that we do where campers will be tasked with tagging their friends, for lack of a better word, using a very soft bowed arrow. It's very safe. Kids absolutely love it, and we tailor that for all of our ages. So that might be target practice for our younger friends, might be actual tag for our older, but you'll see that on a bi-monthly schedule. So they'll go every other week to participate in that archery tag activity. And then water games is also something that's really exciting. This summer, we're going to be implementing what we're calling Splash Day Plus, which is just taking the traditional splash day that we've done at Kidventure for years and elevating that, making it more exciting, more engaging, offering more options for campers to participate in that. Slip and slides, bubble trucks, which our campers love because we're in Texas and it gets hot. So providing them with the opportunities to be outside and be in the water allows them to stay cool and have fun and do all the things that kids love to do, water balloon fights, all the things. But then we're also going to do things like special events and parties. We're going to highlight your kiddos' birthdays if they're at camp. We're going to do KV World Records, where they're actually going to compete and do a different challenge every week and compare their stats to other campsites in their cities, but also across all 3 cities to just continue to build that sense of community across Kidventure campers. And then rock climbing is another thing that we love. Our campers, it's so fun if you've never seen like a 6-7-year-old who've never climbed a rock wall make it 50 feet all the way to the top and ring that bell. And it goes right back to that character that we were talking about earlier, that pride that comes with accomplishing that goal, something that was maybe really scary to them. They had the confidence and they were brave and they did something that they didn't think that they could do. And we champion them alongside the way. And then team building is something that we really love at Kidventure. It allows campers an opportunity to work with their peers to accomplish a goal. And that goal might not be easy, but what it does is it allows your campers, your kiddos to come together, to work together, to put their brains and their skills together, to, again, just tailor to that sense of accomplishment, that sense of confidence, pride. But the team element of that really does make it where at Kidventure we're fostering friendships and we're fostering the acceptance that all of us want in life. So in regards to our Explorer curriculum, we really do tailor it to meet the needs of our kids and empower them and build their esteem so that they can take these skills away from camp and not just say, I climbed a rock wall, but I accomplished a difficult goal.
That's well put. Thank you very much for that. All right, let's show some images of what we do. And I want to make a correction. Curtis, thank you for noting that. The correct link to the webpage where we post the webinars is kidventure.com/kidventure hyphen webinars. So there you go. You can also find that on the navigation at the top under parent resources too as well. Okay, images, here we go. Opening ceremonies like you talked about. I mean, look, it's loud. It's like,
it's fun.
Imagine, and when she says pep rally, I mean, the music is going. We have all these songs. you know, you're going to love it when your kid gets in the car and they're singing Witch Doctor or one of the many songs that we do. Maybe after the 4th week that might wane on you a little bit, but let it go. They're having a good time. There's no doubt you'll learn the songs too as well. And there's an image of us rock climbing as well. Kids love rock climbing. I think rock climbing is just a wonderful tool and apparatus for kids. You know, like Cheyenne mentioned, we do a lot of different athletic camp games. Look, we know that not every kid is that athlete, right? And so we design a lot of our games to be camps that every kid can participate and be successful in, not just that 1 or 2 kids that can hit the home run, right? So keep that in mind. Exploration is a big part of what we do. I think it's important to structure a day with things that provide kids with new opportunities to learn and grow and do new things and be introduced to new games. But I also think it's important, I also know it's important to give kids the freedom to make choices within the context of those games so that they're learning and they're making independent decisions too as well. So we give our kids that chance. We have that balance of structured with more independent play too as well. Camp awards. We love awards every week. On Friday. Friday's a big day. Friday closing ceremony is like probably one of the biggest closing ceremonies. It's probably a little bit louder, a little bit prouder, and every kid gets an award. Okay, so there's a ribbon that goes home with every kid, and that counselor in that group awards that on a Thursday night. They're at home. They're thinking really hard. You know, what has my camper done this week? You know, and then they award those on Friday. We talked about team building as well. Hugely important, by the way. Teaching kids trust, cooperation, communication, problem solving, doing that with their peers is a skill set that a lot of people, adults, don't have. And we don't learn that typically when we're 40 years old. We learn that when we're 12 years old. And so very important to us as well, guys. Art and science, we love hands-on projects. We've been moving STEM and STEAM projects into our curriculum more so this last year and this coming year. So you'll see a lot more of that. And then the field trips, of course. You know, field trips are an important part. We take, you know, luxury tour buses. We select our locations because, number one, they're safe, and number two, they provide an enriching experience that's valuable for our kids and our staff, right? We've done this for 31 years. We know where to go. Many times, because of the size of Kidventure, we rent out the whole place. And it's probably one of the kids' favorite activities. When that bus rolls up and those kids get on that thing and they turn the stereo up and the music starts playing, if they just drove around for like 3 hours, they would think that was the coolest thing in the world. But we actually go somewhere every field trip. That takes place once a week. If you have a Discover and they're 3, 4, and 5 and you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, are they taking my Discover on a field trip? The answer to that question is no. You couldn't pay us to take a 3, 4, and 5 on a field trip, but our scores definitely go on field trips. Okay. All right. I think I've got another one. Water days. We talked about water days, and then of course character and friendship building. Look, you know, if my wife took me to a party where I didn't know anybody and I had to walk up, knock on the door, and go inside, that would be a little awkward and intimidating for me, all right? And I totally get it. We have this assumption in our head that when we drop our kid for camp off and we wave goodbye, they'll easily go in. We know that's the same as being an adult, right, in that sense. So making kids feel very welcome from the moment that car pulls up to the end of the day, fostering friendships is super important for us, okay? And I know that's a big worry of our parents, right, that whole piece. But once again, you're talking to a group of camp professionals that are also parents that look at camp as if our child was attending, right? And I think that's important to note, okay? All right. I hope that gives you some kind of sense of we're an active camp. We don't sit around much. I promise you that at night your kid's going to fall asleep so quick, and that you can't pay for. If you struggle in the evening with bedtime, you won't struggle when your kid's going to Kidventure, okay? All right.
Nope.
All right, so now I want to turn my attention to one of my favorite things, the new for 2025. You know, when we set out to bring something new to camp this summer, we really thought a lot about, you know, what it was and how we wanted to do it. And some of it's on the kid end of things, and some of it's on the parent end of things too as well.